You pay me.
So let's go straight to the discussion now. When we talk about building Nigeria's top tech talents, what does that mean in practical terms?
Okay, in practical terms, I say is the end-to-end process, right? When it comes to building Nigeria's technical talent, we're looking at creating a steady, reliable flow of talent, right? From developing those skills to actually building up in terms of internships to actually securing a job. And it is not just the immediate process of, okay, let's develop the skills. It goes way beyond even the long term in terms of identifying future talent needs, sorting those talents, placing them, nurturing, training, and it's like the all-encompassing process when it comes to nurturing tech talent or building the tech talent pipeline for Nigeria.
Okay, so how would you describe the current state of tech talent development in Nigeria?
How would I describe it? Well, I'll say that it's a growing one. Okay. It's the tech talent ecosystem in Nigeria is one that is evolving. We are thriving. There's still a whole lot of work that needs to be done, but at the same time, we see that people are becoming increasingly more aware of these tech skills, as well as organizations on the business end. Businesses are adopting tech tools even more. We're seeing a rise of digital transformation amongst both individuals, businesses. People are in-demand skills. AI is something that is being adopted by a whole lot of people and businesses as well. So it's a case of it's thriving, it's growing, it's evolving, and the future looks very bright for us.
Now, what key skills do you think are mostly critical for Nigeria's digital future?
Okay, when you talk about key skills, it's more like skills that align with the global trends, right? And also address local needs. Take, for instance, artificial intelligence. It's something that we're hearing about every day, chatbots and things like that. It is an in-demand skill. So, of course, it's something that is very important. Another skill you want to consider is cybersecurity. It's something that is also very critical for even as an individual, you need to understand cybersecurity to an extent to be able to even safeguard at least your social media accounts, for example. And it's cascades down to businesses who have to be secure online. You also look at something like cloud computing is also a skill that is also critical, where you see businesses are moving from just manual processes. They are adopting cloud to be able to save both resources and data. And you look at something like software development, data science and analytics, where you can use as using data basically to derive insights. And of course, a field like digital marketing cannot be left aside, even when you're talking about the core technical skills, because as businesses are today, even as individuals, you want to be able to reach people beyond your immediate environment. So these are key skills that are very important for our future today in Nigeria and even globally.
Okay, from what I notice here in Nigeria, I think there's a growing demand for software engineers, product designers, data analysts. What are the factors driving that demand?
So the factors driving that, I'll say it's because of businesses, like I mentioned when I was speaking earlier, people becoming more aware of even this the tech industry, right? The whole lot of things that you can do with tech, how you can basically adopt digital tools to boost your business, to boost your process. And of course, this demand is driven by, like, just what I've said now. You can tag that as digital transformation, where businesses need to adopt digital tools, digital processes to advance their operations. You also look at, let's say, the startup ecosystem, for example. It's also another another area that is booming, right? Fintech, health tech, and of course we need people, these software developers, product designers and code to be able to develop these tools or infrastructure that will be needed by these businesses. I was listening to you earlier where you talked about Startup South and the events that just happened, and it just goes to say how much is happening in the tech ecosystem, both within the region and nationally and globally. So of course these are some of the reasons why professionals in these spaces would be needed and would be in high demand.
Okay, now there are a lot of people who talk about gaps in the where do you think we have the biggest gaps right now? Where do you think those biggest gap exists within this tech ecosystem now? Is it in mentorship? Is it in employability? Is it in training? Or is it in access? Which of them?
I would say that it's the best of all the worlds, right? Both worlds, because it's all encompassing. As much as we are growing as a country and adopting tech and all that, there's still a whole lot of gaps that we need to bridge. So it touched across all of these various aspects that you've just mentioned. Take for example, in terms of education, right, is not, let's say our traditional educational system, for example, is not properly equipped, right? You see, for example, if somebody who studied computer science would graduate and would still need to take on some professional courses for them to be able to take a solid role as a software developer or an ICT related role. Even when it comes to infrastructure wise, people still struggle with access to stable power supply, internet connectivity, and even data, right, and various other things. Even in terms of when you look at mentorship, I heard you mention mentorship. You hear people people who have even gotten these skills, right, they've developed themselves, now they want to go on to get real world experience. You see, and maybe an opening for an internship, they are looking for something like a 2 years, 3 years experience. Now where would these people ordinarily get maybe hands-on mentorship, practical experience, if it's not in the field, right, in the real world? So there's still a whole lot that we need to, there's still a whole lot of gaps that we need to bridge, both on an individual level and even on the level of both the private or the government sector, mentorship, access, and a lot more.
Now, how can Nigeria better connect learning institutions, tech hub, industries to strengthen the talent pipeline? How do you think they can do that?
Okay, so to do that, I would say that first of all, there should be, should I say, tag this as strengthening partnerships, right? In the sense of, now we see that we have the traditional educational system that we have. We also have maybe other institutions. There should be some sort of partnerships. Partnership in the sense that they can harmonize curriculum, they can harmonize learning structure, so that somebody coming out of graduating from the university today as a software engineer, or somebody studies computer science, the person should have been grounded holistically, right? Another way that we can better we can better connect this, how do I put it? We can better connect learning institutions is that there should be more practical learning, right? More forms of internship, apprenticeships, that even our traditional learning system focuses on just theory over practical learning. You see where maybe a lecturer expects you to reproduce exactly what you've been taught over you understanding, assimilating, and reproducing it based on the specific context. So there should be more internship, apprenticeships that are connected to our learning system, so that people who are going through educational pathways can come out grounded, and in that way it just strengthens the talent ecosystem or pipeline that we have as a nation.
What role should government and private sector partnerships play in driving digital skills development?
Okay, so first of all, let me start with the government side. The role that government can play is to ensure that this trainings, programs, are created, or trainings are there for people to learn, to develop themselves as a tech talent. And an example is what is being done at 3MTT, for example, where the federal government, under the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, is trying to train 3 million Nigerians, equipping them with tech skills, right? And it's free of charge. So that is just an example. Another thing is to actually have infrastructure for people to actually learn. So even beyond this training, you still see some people that are again, like I mentioned, access to power supply, internet. So they can be hubs in different states where people can walk in there, access resources like this for free, or maybe for just a very little fee, right? And again, 3MTT is also supporting in that level. Fellows through the program, they get access to data grants, computers through competitions and things like that. Again, then on the private angle, I would say that there should also be more trainings, upskilling, reskilling, and also mentorships and partnerships, right? Then when you look at internship, on the internship bit, private organizations or institutions should also have programs that accommodate people without practical experience. There should be some sort of a skill-based hire more than experience-based hire. So these are various ways that both the government and private institution can work together, or even independently, to ensure that the talent pipeline of the nation is strengthened.
Now, if you notice, in major cities in Nigeria, Port Harcourt, Lagos, Abuja, and the rest of them, you find out that that's where most of these programs exist, where you get, whether it's the tech hubs, whether it's the skill training centers, you get them mostly in those areas. How important is community-led initiatives and tech hubs, particularly in rural areas where we don't have much of these tech hubs? How important is community-led initiatives and tech hubs that spring up in those areas? How important do you think it is?
So I'd say that it's very important, right? Because again, everybody cannot live in Lagos or Abuja.
Definitely.
Right? Lagos is already overpopulated as it is. And, conversations that we have, let me say, down south, for example, because this is River State, is that we're looking at how we can even strengthen the tech ecosystem here, so that it can, also be on the same level with maybe when you compare like Lagos or other thriving tech ecosystems across the country. So yes, community-led initiatives are very important. It's good that tech communities across other states also spring up to support local innovation, to support people who want to thrive in tech, to give them, whether it's access to mentorship, a place where they can have access to individuals who are more experienced that they can seek guidance for, or even I know that there are some hubs that offer some sort of infrastructure. Maybe you go there to learn, and you have access to their maybe computers during the period while you're learning, or you have access to data. So things like these are little community initiatives that will go a long way in boosting tech talent from different regions or states, even beyond Lagos or Abuja.
Now, you have worked closely with young people in tech over time, for some time now. Now, what do you think motivates them, and what challenges do they often face?
What motivates young people? I'm a young person myself, so let me use myself as a case study, right? I'd say that amongst the things that motivate young people, it can be broken down. It can be in two parts. So it's either maybe passion or money, right? You are either getting into what motivates you to get into tech is because maybe you saw something, you saw a problem, and then you're like, oh, I can actually develop something to solve this problem. Or you know that the tech industry is a fast-paced one, it is fast booming, and you know that developing a tech skill would give you that leverage to be able to improve your standard of living, stability and things like that. So that's on the motivational bit. Then in terms of challenges that they would face, it's a whole lot, right? It's a whole lot, right? From access to infrastructure, limited access in terms of, like, again, I cannot overemphasize it, how electricity is very, very crucial. As somebody who is a tech talent, most people who are working in the tech industry, they are working remotely, right? So you need good power supply to be able to power your devices, to be able to connect with people. You need data. Data prices today it's outrageous.
Exorbitant.
It's just crazy.
Some young people can't afford it anymore.
I know, right? I know it's a whole lot. So think about somebody who is unemployed, who is fresh out of school. You've done your NYSC, you're not getting your income from anywhere, and then you have to do subscriptions. And even when you manage to do these crazy subscriptions, the data just goes in the brink of an eye.
The complaint these days is the data does not last anymore. That's what young people complain. And you wouldn't blame them, because they spend a lot of time on Instagram and TikTok. You understand? And it consumes a lot of data compared to those who spend time on X or Facebook. So for those of them on TikTok, I was asking some young people in the office today that why is it that young people prefer TikTok and Instagram? And they said some of them that's maybe because of their generation. I don't know.
Yes. So you see that the challenges are just so much, and it doesn't look like it's getting better. But so there's just a whole lot that we need to overcome in terms of challenge. And even when somebody is motivated enough with their passion or with the zeal to get economic stability, it sometimes just brings you down, and you just have to find a way to keep that zeal going. But the challenges are actually a lot.
Let's talk about 3MTT now. The 3 million technical talent. I think it's one of the government's major steps in trying to build tech talents in Nigeria. How do you think it will contribute in the bigger picture in terms of building the talent we're talking about, and also skilling up young people?
So 3MTT is doing a lot in terms of when you look at the bigger picture. That's exactly why a program or an initiative like 3MTT was started in the first place, because the goal is to train 3 million Nigerians. Now it's not 100,000, it's not 200, it's not just 1 million, but 3
that's quite huge.
In fact, it is arguably the world's largest technical talent accelerator, right? And this program was born out of the need to boost the Nigerian backbone, the tech talent pipeline that we have in Nigeria, to train Nigerians in these digital skills, all for free, right? So that's what an initiative like 3MTT is trying to do. And so far, they've been, over 100,000 Nigerians have already gone through this program. So think about that in the at the long term, right? In this bigger picture that we're trying to paint, equipping Nigerians with these digital skills, as much as it's an accelerator, right? But then somebody having that foundational tech skills, they can now go on to develop themselves further and also compete on the global stage, of course, which would in turn boost our talent pipeline. And even as an individual, you're enhancing yourself, with the skills you've gained, you can use it to secure a job, and of course boost your standard of living from there. So it's a whole lot. It's contributing immensely to the Nigerian technical talent pipeline, and the bigger picture in quotes.
Now, some people say that because it is skills, that you have to do a lot of publicity, encouraging young people to sign up. That as long as it's not something that has to do that's groovy, they tend to be slow in signing up. For you at 3MTT, how has the turnout been? And then how do you intend to get more young people or more young Nigerians to sign up and become part of the program?
Okay, so you are very accurate when you say it takes a lot to get people to sign up. And a very clear example is before the initiative was launched, sometime early 2024, or should I say 2023, when the first cohort went live from January. So publicity started at around closing out of 2023. So at the time, people hearing about such a huge initiative by the government, they thought, it was just another empowerment scheme. You come in, they give you, a huge money, devices, and maybe a hub.
The usual way in Nigeria.
You're set up for life. So there was a huge influx of interest, applications from people who did not even understand what it was about, right? But they just knew that, it's a government something, I'm going to gain a whole lot, money and whatnot. And then they signed up, right? But then they came in, it was now like expectations versus reality, right? So it wasn't what they were expecting. And we saw a lot of, drop off in the program. And then we're still trying to get people on board, like in the second cohort, third cohort, and with the fourth cohort launching soon. So you see that interest have dropped because it's not the usual come and take something for free. You're actually coming to learn, and not a lot of, again, like you said, not a lot of young people are interested in learning something today. I mean, there are still people, but then it's not balanced, right? When you try to compare the two buckets. So it's a whole lot, and we're still trying to, in terms of spreading the word, we do that by, for example, a show like this, somebody who is listening should, get some understanding of what the 3MTT is, and, should be curious enough to go check it out after this. We also speak on, for example, on Startup South that just concluded, which brought, people across different states, policymakers and all, both from private and government sector. 3MTT also had a session there to speak about the program, and also it was even a conversation that went way beyond the program. And of course, other, little, not even little, publicity efforts by the government, and spreading the word through our partners. And we also have the applied learning centers across the 36 states and the FCT, close to 200 applied learning centers who also share word about the program in their own way. So a whole lot is being done in terms of trying to let people know what goes on in the program, but then the onus still lies on people, individuals, young people to key into this, because it's a free program, and there's also that bias that comes with something that is free, that you would gain value for it, but that's not the case here.
Okay, now for those who have learned the skill, not just with the 3MTT program, tech skill generally, those who are acquiring skills, how do we ensure that the skills taught today remain relevant in the fast changing tech landscape?
Okay, so the first thing I'll say that is to embrace lifelong learning. Again, the 3MTT program, for example, is an accelerator, and it's for about 3 or 4 months, right? You don't expect that you come in there as maybe a novice and all of a sudden you're a professional in 3 or 4 months. No. Even as an individual, even as somebody who just works at a regular company, you want to keep on improving yourself. You want to take courses. You want to develop yourself in one way or the other, because things are changing, things are evolving, and you want to be able to evolve with people, right, and evolve with the tools that are coming up. So lifelong learning is something that you cannot eliminate as a professional. Another thing you also want to adapt, or you want to develop, is foundational skills, right? Even beyond the core technical skills that you need to learn, people also need to be grounded in other competencies, business acumen, soft skills, because for you to be able to compete globally, things are changing. You need to learn how you can communicate across remote things. You also need to be able to incorporate emerging technologies in your work, right? There's also still the argument of people saying, oh, AI is here to take jobs. But really, that's not the case. As somebody who is a professional, you should be able to leverage AI to your advantage. Otherwise, it will definitely come for your job. But you should be able to work with, emerging tools like that, and see how to incorporate it in your work, so that you can be on the same level with other people globally.
If you can answer these two questions in 60 or 90 seconds, I'll be grateful. How can we encourage more women and underrepresented groups to participate in tech training? And then, in your own view now, what's your vision for Nigeria's tech ecosystem in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, to encourage more women, First of all, I'll say that we need to encourage girls right from the basic education. They need to understand that fields like computer science, software engineering, development, and these core technical fields that we feel like, oh, it's for the men and for the guys alone. No, girls need to be encouraged that you shouldn't just study nursing because all the girls are studying nursing, or you shouldn't just settle for less. They should be made to understand that these fields are also, women can also thrive there. And one thing I do on my own little way to encourage more women is that I also offer, like, mentor other ladies and women to let them know that, okay, I've come this far in my career, not by understanding that I can do as much as my male counterpart professionally. Then the second question, which you talked about, where do I see Nigeria in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
I see Nigeria as a net producer of tech talent. I see a highly interconnected system where people are thriving in the tech industry. I see where we have a future, where we have a robust digital infrastructure, where people have access to learn, where people have connectivity, where where we as in Nigeria and as Nigerians are recognized for our resilience, our grit, not just in in the little things that we do, but in also the tech industry. So these are some of the things I envision for Nigeria.
Joy Nwaiwu, Community Manager of 3MTT in Rivers State. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.